Well, welcome back. I hope your catering was better than mine. I certainly got to be better prepared tomorrow, I think. And certainly I'm going to need to put some beers or wines in the fridge for 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Sorry that we're unable to provide them ourselves. We're now moving into the second session of today. It's a short session, 2 presentations. The first one will be from Anna Phillips from Kacific and then John Proctor from the RCG. And we've had quite a few conversations this afternoon about the RCG. But we haven't really mentioned satellite. So we're going to have a presentation now from Anna Phillips, who is the sales director for Kacific Satellite. Last year we were talking to Kacific, but they weren't quite ready to present at our conference. She's been involved with the satellite communication and broadcast industry for quite a while. She's got a wealth of knowledge and experience through her career. She's come from overseas, such as she's worked for people such as Aquiva, Level 3 Communications, which is CenturyLink, and Telenor. So welcome, and over to you, Anna.
Thank you, Craig, and hi everyone. Thank you for having me and for the opportunity to talk to you about the recent development in satellite broadband industry. There is a lot to talk about, so without further ado, I'll jump right in. So obviously New Zealand is one of the most advanced digitally countries in the world. We are in the midst of the major upgrade to telecommunication infrastructure, with fiber now reaching out to, I think it's 85% of the population. We've got amazing mobile networks rolling out 5G, fantastic wireless infrastructure. On average, we rank as 17th in the world when it comes to internet speeds. So New Zealand has fully embraced the digital age. The demand for data is growing. We have ever increasing range of streaming services. On average, 6.5 connected devices per household. But the reason why we do gather here today is because we know that there are people in the rural New Zealand that don't have the same easy access to communication networks as their urban counterparts. So if we look at the technologies available, there is clearly not a universal solution. Fiber and copper and even wireless type of networks not always are available or economically viable to deploy, especially in the areas with low population density. But there is a good news. There is an alternative solution, and that is satellite. Can I have a new slide, please? So firstly, I would like to point out that satellite communication is a technology that is going through a major shift at the moment. Satellite launch and satellite manufacturing sectors have seen a tremendous growth and innovation over the last 10 years or so. New players in the satellite launch industry like SpaceX, Blue Origin, we don't really have to look far. Our own success story, Rocket Lab, they all had a massive impact on pricing and on performance models. And the same with satellite manufacturing. They also have seen a massive growth and massive innovation with high throughput satellites being launched, software-defined payloads, even LEO constellation that I think everybody heard of. These ones still have quite a lot of challenges to overcome, mainly with ground infrastructure and how they're gonna handle data. But one thing is for certain, we have entered the era of space renaissance. But there is one key challenge that persists for satellite, and that challenge is around perception, mainly around 3 things. It's the cost, the performance, and applicability. So today, I hope I will manage to demystify some of those, I believe, false impressions, and also perhaps dispel some of the doubts that some of you might have around this technology. Can I have a next slide, please? So first of all, let me introduce Kacific. We've been around since 2013. We have launched our first new generation high throughput satellite in December last year. It was designed and built by Boeing and launched by SpaceX. So we use a Ka-band technology. This is a new frequency range that is more cost effective than other bands. It provides higher quality, faster speeds, and as opposed to the traditional fixed services satellite with very wide coverage beams, Kacific One uses a spot beams, very focused, very powerful spot beams, and that spot beam architecture supports a large-scale frequency reuse that results in way more capacity being available and higher data rates, and obviously that significantly also lowers the cost. Now, we have 56 spot beams across Pacific region, covering 25 countries. 3 of those beams are dedicated to New Zealand. The satellite is located at 150 degrees east in geostationary orbit. It's quite high up over the horizon, so virtually anyone in New Zealand can access it. Also, those higher frequencies range, they allow us to use much smaller dishes to get the equivalent power output to the satellite. Can I have a next slide, please? So let me try debunk some of those misconceptions that I've mentioned before. First of all, the cost of the satellite. So the pricing for the satellite capacity has been dropping, mainly due to the rise of those high throughput satellite like Kacific. And I think this is a trend that will continue. Apart from anything else, it has to. The terrestrial world has been through this very difficult situation in the past, and now we have to. Basically, all satellite operators, they look at those previous experiences and realize that to avoid that Kodak moment, we really do need to make major changes to our business model and to the way we are approaching things. The next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. In terms of performance, one of the known downsides of the satellite is obviously latency. There is not much we can do about the physics. The information does need to travel over 70,000 kilometers to the geostationary orbit, up and down. But we found that majority of customers, while obviously the low latency is a plus, majority of the customers will choose a faster speed and more volume and accept the higher latency. And in terms of speed and volume, we do offer a truly broadband experience. And next slide, please. When it comes to the applicability, satellite is an obvious choice for places without any terrestrial options, that is in the remote areas, in the flight and at sea. So in New Zealand, we see 2 immediate opportunities. The first one is connectivity for rural or even suburban communities that is for farmers, for agriculture, for forestry operations and lifestyle blocks. And the second one would be the backup for business resilience if there is a fiber cut. And this is a sort of the insurance policy sort of thing. And satellite, because it doesn't rely on any local or regional infrastructure, it is really the only true dependable solution out there. So next slide, please. So communication satellites have a variety of user requirements, support variety of users requirements and use cases, whether it is connecting the unconnected or providing the secure and resilient communications to industries that for which that matters the most. Many governments, even in developed countries, are actively supporting the rollout of satellite broadband technologies via subsidies, the grant initiatives, voucher schemes, whether it is to tackle the digital divide or to support critical communication services. And at Kacific, we do believe that today the real question is about flexibility. Whichever connection is makes the most sense, is the most reliable, and provides the best bandwidth in any particular point of time and place. So ultimately, we believe that the way forward will be integration between the terrestrial world and the satellite world. And in many instances, this is actually already happening. Satellite industry has definitely seen the cellular backhaul being one of those critical ways to continue growth in the industry. And many telcos out there, many innovative telcos look at the satellite and they see the potential it can bring to the table. So next slide, please. I prepared a couple of use cases here or examples. The EE, which is one of the largest mobile network operator in the UK, uses satellite for backhaul and backhaul backup to their cell towers across the country. US government has been using the SATCOM services for public safety for forever, really, for many years. So yeah, I do believe, and we do believe at Kacific, that the satellite communication is and will continue play a critical role in the digital world and the digital future that we find ourselves in. So I'm not sure if there are any questions for me right now.
Hey Anna, thank you so much for your presentation. Yep, we do have a question. Hopefully you'll be able to answer. The LEO satellites are expected to remove the latency issue. What's your prediction for the subscription costs, contract lengths and take-up of the satellite with LEO satellites deployed? This is a big question.
This is a big question, and right, to set out the scene, I am not a technically smart person, but I do know a lot of technically smart people, and obviously Kacific is a geostationary satellite, and if I can be a little bit skeptical about the LEO, the idea of LEO satellite is not new. It's been around for many years, and the first LEO satellites have been launched, I think, in the 90s, and they all failed. So as I said in my presentation before, there is quite a lot of challenges that they're still facing, mainly around the ground infrastructure, the antennas. Bear in mind, the LEO satellite orbit, they circle the world within like 90 to 120 minutes. So those those antennas on the ground will have to be really, really complex and very smart to be able to hop from one satellite to another, I think, every 3 minutes. And that won't be cheap to manufacture as well. So yeah, the time will show how that's going to work. I don't think it's something that's going to happen very, very soon. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your presentation, Anna. There's a couple other questions that we'll send through to you, and you can flick us back the answers to those. So that's great.